very short. So this week, they'll look to cut those errors out. I do feel they looked at the scoreboard from the France-Argentina game and thought this could be a three-way tie. We need to score a lot of points. And so rather than look after the process and let the scoreboard do the work, they chased the big plays early on and the errors followed.
Chip kick by Stringer, which Horgan tried to field. Georgia eager for more possession. Virakashvili. Hoisted into the still Bordeaux night.
You can tell they're a bit edgy there, Ireland. No one came forward to claim that. The Georgian had a clean attempt to take that ball.
Irish penalty. And Wayne Barnes' patience wearing evidently very thin with the hooker, Švelice.
You can see Ronan, first look, he's a very positive player, looking across the field for his old pal Dennis Hickey, seeing if the cross kick was on. And now he'll look to make a safe touch. David Wallace, what a player he's been for Ireland over the past few years. Came out of the Lions in 2001, a supercharged athlete, runs around all day, tremendous lung capacity, very brave, tremendous for Munster down the years, at the heart of Munster's efforts when they won the European Cup. Such a hard man. And Marcus Horan, another Munster man, a prop who likes the open spaces. Normally very agoraphobic, our forward friends, but Marcus Horan enjoys being out there.
Just over 8 minutes played. I apologise for the lack of a clock graphic on your screen. That's down to our French host broadcasting colleagues. Score is 0-0 here.
Great tackle by Kasharava and O'Driscoll. Sensed the outside gap, Brian.
This is O'Driscoll. Piling in was O'Connell. Quicker ball for Stringer this time. Gordon Darcy. On the wide outside is Marcus Horan. Horan, one of the most mobile props around. Stringer back the other way with Dennis Hickey.
Scored a great try just like that for Leinster against Dajon last year. Knows and sniffs the try line, Dennis Hickey. A great number of tries, and approaching his retirement, this last World Cup, is bowing out after this. A great servant of Irish rugby and a wonderful finisher.
John Hayes lost the ball forward. And Georgia will clear. Back goes Gordon Darcy for Ireland. Fielded by Samkaradze, the scrum half. Now Urashadze. Ujukashvili. Beneath it, Gervin Dempsey. Urashadze wearing 7 for Georgia. Perhaps the most natural kicker you've ever seen.
Great kick by Gervin Dempsey in the first, but that's what they call coffin corner. Gives Ireland a great opportunity. Georgia had nowhere to go. A poor kick. Dennis Hickey launches the counter-attack. Room on the short side. Ronan screaming for it down here.
And has it. But then delivered the pass to Rory Best that he couldn't cling on to. David Wallace picks it up, but the ball had gone forward.
Exactly what Eddie O'Sullivan's been talking about. They just seem anxious. They're so desperate to get the crowd involved, to score tries. Paul Wallace was talking about it before the game. Just too flat, just over-eager to get the ball in their hands. They wanted the ball quicker, but it doesn't. You have to be patient. It's called creeping death out in the backline. Every time you're an inch forward, you creep. It kills you as the game goes on. You're too flat to run onto the ball. The South Africans were sensational at it last night. Dupree just coming from depth. You maintain your depth, you'll cut sides to pieces.
Wayne Barnes unhappy with the setting of the scrum. We'll go down again. The yellow card he had to issue in that bruising encounter between Bayonne and Ireland just 4 weeks ago. Samkaradze back to his half-back partner, Virakashvili. Dempsey. Horgan. Out on the fall.
Unforced errors, just keeping Georgia into the game, the crowd getting a bit irritable. That Bayonne game has got to be one of the great mysteries. Not necessarily known for their discipline, Bayonne. And you send your first choice Irish team out 2 or 3 weeks before a World Cup. Tremendously risky procedure, almost cost them their talisman Brian O'Driscoll. Not sure what they'll have got out of that game.
For a long time, it was thought unlikely that O'Driscoll would make the first game of this World Cup because of his facial injuries, a fractured sinus. But make it he did, and he scored a try. Felice with the throw at this line-out. Batted back to him by Zedganica.
Wonderful piece of volleyball.
Sam Karadze to Vidikashvili. Urashadze coming into the line. Zedganica, who is a lead by example, sort of a captain. Sam Karadze with the reverse pass to Urashadze. And Ireland respond this time. Vidikashvili. Shane Horgan. Eddie O'Sullivan very glad to welcome him back into the fold after injury this evening. Barkalaya. Gervin Dempsey. Just finds touch.
This staccato game, not a boot on ball at the moment, isn't it? Just trying to feel their way in. Someone's trying to get field position, territory, waiting for the opposition to make the mistakes. You expect that sort of game. You expect Ronan to grab it by the neck and really have pinpoint precision with his kick, and it's just not there at the moment. It's giving the Georgians confidence. I think they've made a mockery of the debate that says let's have less teams in the World Cup. I think the junior sides have contributed so much to a wonderful World Cup already. Portugal today, for 20 minutes in the second half against New Zealand, were absolutely brilliant. Scored a great try. The crowd celebrated as though they'd won it. They're all getting stuck in, these junior nations.
And is that credit to the IRB for providing some extra funding for them?
Very much so. I mean, it's a global game. I'm a big believer that 2011 should have gone to Japan if we want to spread the gospel of rugby. But it's, as I said, they've just flown in. The Irish couldn't believe the ferocity of the Namibians last week. You watched the Argentinians, you watched the way the Georgians were played against those guys, the Argentines, my apologies. Interesting that Ronan didn't go for the 3 points there. Gone to the corner. O'Connell, the pack leader, potentially call it to himself, get a big drive on, settle the nerves.
Rory Best surveying the scene. Taken by Easterby. And Ireland tried to set themselves for the drive. Encouraged vocally from the terraces by their many thousands of supporters. But Georgia are meeting fire with fire. Stringer at the back. Thrust out of the way by David Wallace. And now clear ball for O'Gara. O'Driscoll. Gervin Dempsey. Dempsey tries to flick the pass out. Shane Horgan is waiting. O'Gara down by the bootlaces of Marcus Horan. Penalty.
I think the biggest difference we've noticed for the junior nations this year has been the defensive organisation. Again, there, Ireland, quick ball, going forward. O'Driscoll on the drift, tends to make breaks, tends to create space. The Georgians seem to cope with it very comfortably, and that's what's made the games, I think, a great deal more competitive. Just a little bit of organisation and defensive discipline keeps sides in the game a lot longer and gives them confidence to guard and attack. And again, Ireland turning down the chances of points in terms of the kick and going for the 7 points with the try.
Showing faith in their line-out. Rory Best to deliver. Rising high. O'Connell. Once more, Ireland try and put the power on. Just 2 or 3 metres out, and they've got some momentum this time. And they have the opening try. And Rory Best is the man who plunged over the line with the ball to put Ireland in front.
A well-organised drive. O'Connell called it to himself. The skipper, he pulled his mates around him. They drove forward, they stayed disciplined, they worked the ball to the back. They were in control the whole way. The Georgians, you can see, Zedganidze trying to drop it, all disorganised defensively. They'd split them, they'd broken them apart, and you just come through the middle. Stay focused, stay streamlined, stay on your feet, and keep driving through the middle. It's a well-taken try, and that'll just settle them down a little bit. They'll be glad to get on the scoreboard, they'll be glad to get a try underneath their belt. Gives Ronan an opportunity to have a kick and goal. And then they'll look, all good teams, they don't feel as though you've scored until you're back into the opposition half. Restarts are so important now. Georgia's tried a quick one from the opening kick-off. But Ireland will try to be solid, get back in Georgian territory and build from there.
So Ronan O'Gara. 6 metres in from touch. Given it a good chance, and Ireland lead by 7 points to 0.
Such a smooth kicking stroke when he's on song. Relaxed, composed, like a driving range for him. Shuts the crowd out, doesn't matter where he is. Olympic Stadium, Millennium Stadiums, Croke Park, same routine, and so often the same result.
7th on the list of all-time point scorers in international rugby, Ronan O'Gara. A mistake by Dennis Leamy.
What we were just talking about is the initiative straight back to the Georgians. It's so infuriating. Eddie O'Sullivan extremely irritated by this. So many unforced errors in this first 20 minutes. Very unlike an O'Sullivan coach side.
Ireland causing problems at the scrum. It's picked up at the base by Chakaidze.
Recovered very well there. Scrum going back on skates. Picked it up, got them going forward again.
Samkaradze. It's time for Shadza. Georgia again. Content to play as per stereotype, and Firikashvili with the drop goal attempt charged down by Easterby. Now here's Marcus Horan.
Lovely ball for a prop. Lovely ball. Opened it up, saw the space.
Brian O'Driscoll. Dennis Hickey. Ball was knocked on. There is an advantage here for Ireland. Now a penalty advantage. O'Gara. Those dancing feet couldn't take him anywhere that time, so we'll go back for the penalty.
Yeah, straight over the top. He touched Wayne Barnes. The Georgians don't want to break the game up. They try and slow the Irish ball down, but you test the patience of the referee if you continue to infringe at the breakdown. The last thing Georgia need when they're being this competitive is to lose a man. But all stemmed from the charge down. They looked marginally offside, the Irish, but they played it. They played the referee well. They chased up on the kick. Firikashvili put a poor kick in under pressure, and Horan in a crowd had the wherewithal to stop, compose himself, find the space, find his captain O'Driscoll off. He set up the field and turned defence into attack very quickly.
So more kicking practice for a man who was here practicing for a good hour and a half yesterday, Ronan O'Gara. Ireland's record point scorer, the record point scorer in the Heineken Cup.
They'll be looking to string on O'Gara, to just start pulling the strings of the Irish. They've been together, as you rightly said, so many times. I can't remember a time when the Irish team didn't seem to have Stringer O'Gara at half-back. Stringer's such a diminutive figure, belies his size. He was such a brave game. I remember him virtually winning knocking us off for a Grand Slam in 2001 with a tap tackle on Dan Luger. For all the money in the world, Dan Luger's sailing away under the post, and Stringer found it within himself to track him down and tackle. Keith Wood did the damage with the try.
Agara's kick. Virikashvili. Agara beneath it.